Welcome to the FanDuel Punch Out. I'm Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 11-game slate. And overall, you got our Coors game, and it's been an absolute – I can't even think of a word to describe what the Rockies
I can.
to.
I got a good one. This is a beluga.
Is it inappropriate for the viewers? I mean,
a beluga.
A beluga?
It's a beluga of a series. Hold on, I gotta go Google search what a beluga looks like.
It's a whale.
Beluga whale. Yeah, that's definitely what this series is. Yeah, right. It's a beluga.
Oh man, looking at catcher here, and we're kind of anticipating most people plugging in Scherzer are kind of completely paying down to get all the top points bats in, but you can kind of go a different way here, and you can still work in an Arenado, a Cargo into your lineups and have Scherzer there. So that's kind of the angle we're looking at. And you're looking at catcher. The Tucker Barnhart, Garneau plays don't quite carry the same points per dollar value as they do on DK, where they were both, 3K and below. So it's a little different here. And I do think you can kind of look a little bit lower. A guy like Wellington Castillo, 2,700 is not in the bad spot. Outside of that, Chris Iannetta at 2,200.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, he's super cheap compared to DK. Not in terms of price. I think it's the same sort of value, but in terms of the guys like Tucker Barnhart, more expensive. That doesn't necessarily make sense to me. So I like Wellington Castillo there. Cervelli, I'm okay with, but yeah, you find what you can at catcher tonight. I don't think you're too worried about that being the main spot in your lineup,
No, and that's where I think Chris Iannetta at 2,200 is where I'm kind of looking to punt with. You're looking at Friedrich, 376 will be allowed since 2014. Iannetta's had a steady career against left-handers, and yes, the ballpark kind of isn't favorable there out in Petco, but at the price tag, you take what it is, and I think he kind of saves you some cash there.
Right.
If you are kind of looking at mid-range, I don't mind a guy like Matt Wieters at 3,200, Chris Herman. If you are going to balance and maybe are just only locking in 2 Coors bats, it's kind of playable there.
Definitely.
First base, and this is a spot where I'm kind of looking in that 4K range. I like Joey Votto, 4K. I know you're a fan of Brandon Belt. Is he still, points per dollar wise, still a decent option for you tonight, even a little bit more expensive?
I like Votto more for sure. And then Goldschmidt, only 300 more. It kind of takes some of the shine off Belt for me, actually. But I mean, I think they're all those three are all in play for me. But I definitely lean towards either paying up for Goldschmidt or just kind of going to Votto here.
Yeah, and I like spinning down. Obviously, it's not spinning down a whole lot, but 3,800 for Anthony Rizzo is something I like a whole lot tonight. Bolsinger, 358 will be allowed to lefty since 2014. That game, I think the Cubs bats are in pretty favorable spots, and Rizzo, I think you're going to get him a little bit lower ownership, and I can't get away from that price tag.
Yeah, no, that's a nice price for him in a good matchup. So definitely going to go under the radar with sort of all the Colorado chaos going on. And there's weird pricing around him. So Justin Bour, 3,300. Mark Reynolds, 36. So, there's not really much value around him either. So I think Rizzo at 38, that's a pretty solid value.
Yeah, I think so too. You put him in, he doesn't cost a ton. He's not like an over 5K type guy or anything like that. So I think price considered, he's kind of one of my favorite options. And looking at second base there, this one's one where on FanDuel, it was kind of a similar, or on DraftKings, it was a similar situation here. You got a lot of guys priced up over 4K, but it's not necessarily a spot to pay up for tonight, especially when you have like a DJ LeMahieu at 3,500. You get Coors exposure at a nice price tag.
Right, and then Panic 3,100. I just don't see necessarily. There's obviously upside with Robinson Cano and Daniel Murphy, but Yeah, I'm not into that. I like DJ LeMahieu actually quite a bit, 3,500, and then you get a piece of that Rockies lineup.
Yeah, me too. And you can kind of spin down even lower. We're Gene Segura is a guy we've been on for much of the season. I mean, still hitting the ball pretty well, and 3,200 is a nice price tag. And same with Josh Harrison. I mean, Adam Conley's been,
Mhm.
he's shown above average stuff this year, but I think Harrison, with the way he's hitting against lefties, is kind of certainly playable.
Yeah, this is generally the same as what it was on DK. Those guys in that same range, just obviously different pricing per site. So I think those three are the ones where you really want to make your move. Beyond that, I think you're really taking a big risk going lower and then higher. It's kind of crunching you for salary.
Yeah, definitely. And there's not a whole lot that I like down low, beyond that 3,100 range.
Hmm.
Looking at third base here, and Arenado, deservedly so, is the top option at 4,400. He wasn't that case on DraftKings. Does that make kind of those spin down options a little more intriguing if you wanted to be different, or you still just lock it? It's too closely priced to lock him in.
Um, it does make it a little different. He's the clear top obvious option, but they priced him like that. So, um, it's still the main play, even at that price. It's not crazy. It's not like it's at 5K or anything, but it does kind of make you think here. Maybe some of these lower priced options, like if you're saving 500 on a Donaldson or something like that, but he's still the clear play for me.
Yeah, it kind of takes a lot of the sting out of, even a Kyle Seager, a Chris Bryant, the Travis Shaw, in decent spots. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't care really about the ownership. I just think he's in such a good spot going up against Lamb at home.
Hmm.
4,400 is a price tag I feel more comfortable paying.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm not really looking to spin down there. But I mean, to talk some names, Martin Prado 2,800 is a little bit lower if you're paying up for maybe the two outfielders instead. Um, Outside of that, I mean, there really isn't a whole lot down low at this supposition. I think
No.
once again, this is kind of a spot to pay up for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's going to be a lot of offense tonight, so you kind of have to keep up at the main positions here, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah. And you can look at shortstop. I think shortstop, much like catcher, is going to be my second punt position.
Hmm.
Um, because I do plan on locking in a Rizzo and Arenado and trying to get a third Coors bat in there. So I think looking at shortstop, moderate 2,400 is a guy who I'm looking at. Same with Heckavaria, who gets a lefty there at 23, especially if he's hitting in the top of the lineup. Those are kind of great punt options to look at there.
And I think Story at 4,200 versus Cozart at 4K kind of takes Cozart out of play for me. I think I'm just going to go Story. If I do look at that game, I mean, it was a bigger difference on DK. Other than tournaments, I think the correct process is to go Story here, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you're, I don't see myself paying that much at shortstop. If I am, it'll be
Hmm.
for Story. And
Right.
I think I even think you can come off and go Correa at 4K and GPPs. He doesn't quite carry the
Hmm.
huge difference that he did on DraftKings, but I'm looking at that game. I mean, over under of 9. Houston right-handers are kind of in a favorable spot against Ray there.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but
Taylor
I'm just in a
Motter,
spot to pay down.
2,400. Yeah. Brad Miller, 2,900. Stuff like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're paying up in the infield, I think this is kind of where you start to dig into a little bit more value.
Hmm.
So, looking at outfield, and I mean, this is kind of the correctly priced for Charlie Blackmon at 46, who's been absolutely
Yes.
on fire, and obviously coming off a 2-homer, 5 RBI game is going to do that. In play for me is all the outfielders are in Colorado, but you got to kind of get that price tag up, and that's something that's a little bit concerning now.
Yeah, that's pricey. Uh, on a normal slate, like that's tough. Even in this situation, that's tough to pay that much for him. But I do understand why you would, and I'm not against it. But that is a little pricey for me. I don't know that I'm going to have a lot of shares of Blackman tonight.
Yeah, I mean, being the top price guy, I think I kind of rank some guys a little bit beyond him.
Like I'd still rather have Carlos Gonzalez for 41. I think I'm much more comfortable with that.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And I mean, you do have a Ryan Rayburn possibility being in the lineup, a little bit more expensive, but he is one of the value outfielders in comparison to everyone else on that slate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So 3,200 is not bad for a guy who's hit lefties fairly well, and getting Lamb, who's not a good one.
Definitely. Yeah, as we mentioned on DK, Aoki 3,200, Seth Smith 31. So I think you can look at those. Maybe avoid Cameron Maben for tonight, 31.
Yeah, I'm not really on that one. Franklin Gutierrez, 2,800 is a guy who I don't mind at all. Getting the lefty there in Petco, which obviously Petco's not the biggest friendly park for hitters, but at that price tag, the way he's been hitting the ball of late, I think he's a great value outfield option.
Definitely.
So, outside of that, I mean, I'm trying to dig deep here. If you feel the need, Carlos Gomez is just 2,700, getting an average lefty there at home, back in the lineup. Kind of something to consider. But overall, I mean, he's struggled for most of his time this year and last.
Yeah, we're in a tough situation tonight because those last few spots are going to be crunched by some of those high-end options plus the pitching option. So, yeah, I mean there are some decent options down here, but you kind of got to play it by how your roster fills out.
Yeah. A name here, Michael Bourne, 2,200. Been very boomer bust, but at 2,200, I'm definitely willing to take that risk here, especially in that ballpark and that total. And, he's going to provide some salary relief. So I think 2,200 is not a bad price tag to just kind of punt that next outfield spot if you need to pay up for the next two.
Definitely.
So that's going to wrap things up here with the FanDuel Punch Out. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all the great tools and content.